Hey guys, Cybertron Zheng here, and I'm really excited to be doing this video because if you couldn't tell already, this is my 10,000 subscriber special video. If you guys didn't know already, I hit 10,000 subscribers earlier this week, and I just wanted to say thank you all so much. You all really mean so much to me, and the support for this channel has been overwhelming. So you guys are awesome. You're all the best, and really, I can't wait to see where this channel goes from there. But let's get right into it. So I told you guys that I would be doing a question and answer video where I answer all the questions you guys had. I'll try to get to as many as possible. I reached out to you guys on both Twitter and on YouTube, and I have about like 8 pages of questions actually just printed out prepared here. So let's get right into it. All right, so the first question comes from Jitsu Physics from YouTube. What do you see yourself doing 10 years from now as far as studies go, excuse me. What do you find most interesting? Also, if you can, tell us more about your school. Okay, so really interesting, more about personal life, but in 10 years, I really don't know. In terms of career, I have no idea what I want to do yet. It really depends on what I want to study in college. I know I really want to get into business. That seems like something I'd be really interested in, but math has always been a passion of mine too. But who knows, maybe working for a cool business company. Studies, what I find most interesting, it's always been math, like I mentioned earlier. I love physics, though. I took that last year in school, and that was one of my favorite courses too. And my school is, I go to Trinity School, which is a private school up in the Upper West Side. And I was lucky enough in 5th grade to get a scholarship to go there through this program called Prep for Prep, which helps minority students in New York City get into these advanced private schools. So I got into Trinity. I've been there since 7th grade. It's a really, really competitive school. We send around 50% of our kids to Ivy Leagues every year, so that's kind of crazy. But all the kids are really nice and smart too. Really, everyone's really well-rounded as people. It's really incredible. The community is insane, as in a good way. And it's really humbling being around so many intelligent people in terms of both teachers and students, and I learn so much every day. So I'm very grateful to be at my school. But it's also very scary and challenging because the people you're surrounded by are all so crazy smart. But they've all been really nice. They've been totally cool with the whole Pokemon thing. I'm not afraid to tell them, and it's actually a thing that I'm rather proud of, and they're all pretty chill about it too. So I'm really happy for that. Next question comes from Boyang Zhu. This one talks about Worlds last year. He says, as much as I hate to bring up a sore topic, could you talk a bit about your matches against Ryosuke at Worlds last year? What was going through your head as Rotom missed every single Will-O-Wisp it tried to hit? Is it common to see luck-based strategies such as Thunder Wave and Swagger at top VGC tournaments, and how often do those strategies really win? Great question. My thought process was really... when the first couple Will-O-Wisps missed, I know I missed, I think, 1 or 2 in game 1, which I ended up winning anyway, so I wasn't too disheartened by that. But game 2, if you guys didn't know, basically how Worlds works, it's a best 2 of 3, and we were in the semifinals. So the winner of that would obviously advance to the finals of the World Championships. So I won game 1 even after some bad luck, and in game 2, on the first turn I predicted his Landorus to U-turn out into a physical attacker, so I Will-O-Wisp the Landorus instead of Hydro Pumping it, and I made that prediction correctly because Conkeldurr came in. The Will-O-Wisp missed, then he Thunder Waved my Rotom Wash, and then I missed another Will-O-Wisp the following turn, so that really sucked. Thought process really was, oh no, that's bad, and then, oh no, that's bad. Game 2 I kind of lost after a couple of turns, and game 3 was really the disheartening one because it went down to the very end, came down to the Swagger turn. Once that Swagger hit, I was like, oh, is he really going for it? I mean, normally when your opponent goes for a Swagger on your physical attacker, it's kind of like a sign of desperation. So I was like, oh, maybe this game is mine. But then my Cresselia was fully paralyzed too, so kind of lost hope there. But in terms of actually answering the question, my matches were really, I was just like, oh, I kind of let him roll the dice. In my mind, I was just set on winning the game, and when things didn't go my way, I was kind of disheartened, and it kind of got me upset inside, so I wasn't thinking as properly as I should have been. And those strategies aren't that common. I mean, Ryosuke didn't rely on it, but it was a great way to, beat things that he had bad matchups up, and it was a really smart idea. If you're using Thundurus, you normally have Thunder Wave for paralysis, so might as well just add Swagger, right? But yeah. So the next question comes from Phantasmum24 from YouTube. He says, I have this question in mind. Have you done any hosting for a Pokemon competition, be it VGC or regular Pokemon competitions? Fortunately, I have not. I mean, being 16 years old and living in New York City, it's one, tough to come up with the money to hold grassroots tournaments, and 2, it's tough to find venues too because New York City is really expensive. But hoping to do that in the future, maybe when I get into college, we'll see. I really want to see VGC grow, and I know that we're all planning to hold more grassroots tournaments, and I know the Pokemon Company itself is starting to hold more local tournaments that actually count for Worlds. They're called Premier Challenges. They're actually a bunch around the country going on right now. You should check Pokemon.com to see if there are any around you. They're great local VGC events that even give out championship points for Worlds, so definitely check that out. Next question comes from Simply the Real. What do you plan on studying at university? And I've been thinking of getting into the Pokemon, but But my time is limited. How time consuming is it to play Pokemon at a competitive level? For university, like I said earlier, probably something business or math related. We'll see. In terms of how time consuming it is, I think it's not that time consuming. I mean, it doesn't take me that much time to put a team together. But I think the most important thing right now in VGC is practice. So that does take a while. But really, I don't think it takes that long to get into it competitively. If you want to be the best, then obviously you have to dedicate more time into it. But if you just want to, play it, then at a competitive level, just knowing how things work can put you into that kind of realm. So the next question comes from $AKFX9 from YouTube. What other type of games do you play, and what consoles do you own? I play mainly Wii and PS3. Wii is like when I get together with some of my friends, we like to play those games like Mario Party, Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros. Is a huge one. But I own a PS3. I haven't played that many games for it, but my all-time favorite game that I've played, The Last of Us, is on the PS3. That game means so much to me. I really love it. I played that earlier this year, and I've never felt so many emotions from a single video game. If you guys don't know about that game, you should definitely check it out. It is incredible. The next question comes from CB Sengo Tuvo. Why don't you battle your brother and post a video? Your brother is actually the reason I even found you. Great question. We are planning on doing that. We've actually had a couple battles. I plan on uploading those soon. I'll probably get Brendan featured more in the channel too. If you guys don't know already, of course, Brendan is the 2013 world champion in the juniors division, so he's very good at Pokemon. And I'm sure I'm going to run into a later question about whether he's better or not, so we'll get into that later. The next question comes from Efrain Zuniga on YouTube. Just wanted to ask, how can I improve skill in VGC, or what can I do? I always seem to struggle with skill when it comes to playing VGC. Sometimes I make ridiculously obvious plays, which end up losing me the match. I'm not really sure whether this is based off luck or how competitive my opponent is. I mean, honestly, the best advice I can give you is just keep on practicing. I know that's kind of over cliched, but practice is really what gets you better. I think a lot of the times it's also when you practice, you kind of figure out what your best play is. Also, I don't like really using the terms over predicting or kind of 50-50 matchups, just because a lot of the times your opponent, you have to give your opponent more credit than I think a lot of people do give them for in Pokemon. A lot of people like to kind of blame their mistakes on their opponent. Oh, my opponent didn't make the play I expected them to. What a noob, or whatever. So I think as you get into higher levels of VGC, you really have to assess every possible move your opponent can make and use kind of math or probability to determine which one the best one is. Also, not getting flustered over luck is a big one. A lot of people just lose it after getting unlucky, and luck is a part of any VGC match, and if you want to always win or win as much as possible, you kind of have to accept that. So really playing to get better and trying to figure out what your move is at all situations is really my best piece of advice. Next question, comes from Victini Kage on YouTube. What music do you listen to? Really interesting question. I listen to a lot of different music. I actually really listen to anything as long as it sounds good. So if you guys could give me recommendations, that would be awesome. A lot of it is like modern kind of rap. For example, Hoodie Allen, G-Eazy, Jared Evan, D Pride. A lot of them are YouTube based, but I also listen to obvious other stuff. DXX, David Choi is one of my favorite YouTube musicians. I found him through Wong Fu Productions, which is one of my favorite channels on YouTube. He's really awesome. I don't know. I listen to everything. Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite artists right now. I also like to listen to just like hip hop kind of soundtracks, ones that don't have lyrics over it. Nujib is one of my favorite guys. But yeah, I listen to anything. If you guys actually have any song recommendations, please let me know. I love listening to all music, especially because I commute over an hour to school every day. So having music is a nice way to kind of get out of everything. The next question comes from Le Tempura on YouTube. This was a really interesting question. It's also about Worlds last year, and he asks why I gave him a handshake, my opponent Ryosuke, after game 1 when I win. He says, in the fighting game community, we don't shake hands until after the set. I mean, the real reason is because in Pokemon VGC, we just tend to acknowledge a good game after any time, whether it's a best 2 of 3 or a best of 1. At Worlds, I know I shake my opponent's hand after every game in a set, not just the entire set. It's a practice that I think a lot of people do. When you get to the Worlds level of VGC, everyone's really respectful, and everyone, just says, we're all a good community, so we all just shake hands to acknowledge, good game, good luck in the next matches. It's interesting that they don't do that in the fighting game community as much, but for Pokemon, I think it's specifically, I don't know, I always shake my opponent's hand whether it was actually a good game or not, just to acknowledge, thanks for the game, and in best 2 of 3s, good luck in the next couple of ones. But interesting question. The next question comes from Mayhem CT on YouTube. What comes to your mind when battling a player at your level? I mean, the first thing is always, oh wow, I'm kind of intimidated, but you know, he or she is equally as good as you. So stay focused and don't get flustered at any point of the match. Try to figure out what their play style is like, and you know, play from there. Next question comes from Joseph Friesen on YouTube. Um, so my question is, are you considering ever getting to the Smogon metagame? Would love to see some content on that. I definitely am planning on getting onto Smogon singles sometime soon. Just got to figure out when, but I do have a lot of, when I get more time, I think in the summer, I'm definitely going to be trying to get into singles. I'll probably be posting videos of it too, so stay tuned for that. Should be really, really exciting. Next video, next video. Next question comes from Metal Mattress 4. Would you rather fight one Rapidash size Psyduck or 100 Psyduck sized Rapidash? Probably one Rapidash sized Psyduck. Psyducks are pretty silly. The next question comes from FlyZone on YouTube. Congrats on 10K. Thank you. When did you realize you could actually be competitive enough to place well in Nationals and Worlds, and how did you react? You know, I've been playing VGC all the way since 2008. That's when the first VGC was, and I did well in my very first tournament. So right from the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm actually decent enough to, you know, place in these tournaments, but I never expected winning nationals in 2011 or 2012, and still getting third at Worlds last year is a dream come true. But I basically, to answer the question, I realized I could be competitive right from the start, and it was a very good reaction. Obviously, I was really surprised, but really happy to see where it could turn out. And I never thought, you know, I never thought back in 08 that I'd be, you know, the competitor I am now, how much Pokemon would be a part of my life. So it really means a lot. But yeah. Next question. Now we're moving on to actually no, one more YouTube question from Kosaki, excuse me. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Basically, it says Pokemon's a luck-based game. How do you deal with the fact that you can win or lose cash prizes on luck? I talked about luck earlier. I mean, obviously, Pokemon's a very luck-based game, but to be quite honest, out of any best 2 of 3 match I've had at Worlds, very few only depended on luck. I've been eliminated from a bunch of tournaments in terms of best 2 of 3, and a lot of them were luck-based. You know, if I got a bit luckier, I could have won. But the most beautiful thing about VGC is in all those sets that I lost because of luck, there were so many things I could have done better to actually win. A lot of the times I look back and I'm like, wow, why didn't I make that play? So that's kind of the beauty of VGC. There's so much, and Pokemon in general, but double specifically in VGC. There are always so many better plays you can do, and it's frustrating. You know, I lost a couple of $1,000s worth of prizes last year at Worlds on, you know, you could call it luck, but honestly, to me, any loss I take, I use it to improve myself. I think people need to give the competitors more credit and give less luck credit, because almost all the top matches we see, sure, there's a bit of luck here and there, but there are always better plays that people can make. So that's, I think, one of the important skills in trying to get better as a VGC competitor. So now moving on to Twitter questions. This one comes from Assault Vest. Would you rather, who could win in a fistfight, Ghastly or Voltorb? I think I'm going to go with Ghastly. Ghastly's a boss, man. Smog Char32 asked, do you wish you played your World Series differently last year? Back to Worlds again. I mean, yeah, I do. There are a bunch of plays I could have made that were better. And I mean, once again, in terms of improving yourself, yeah, there were definitely a bunch of plays I wish I could have done better. I shouldn't have relied on Will-O-Wisp as much as I did, because obviously kind of came back to bite me in the butt, but yeah. Next question comes from Hibiki VGC. Turn 1 Stragger strats, yay or nay? Nay, never, nay. Vigor by Fink asks, has school ever gotten in the way of your VGC career or vice versa? For the most part, not really. I think I'm pretty good in terms of balancing it, but it's still tough, especially with YouTube trying to maintain both. But I'm okay at time management, so it hasn't been that bad of an issue, fortunately. The next question comes from Real Taylor Hut. Are you single? LOL. Hashtag ask Cybertron. I indeed am single. Next question comes from Swagtastic Guy. Have you ever caught them all? If so, on what game? And what methods did you use? I have not caught them all. I'm a very bad Pokemon trainer. I'm sorry. Next question comes from Profan Swammy. Would you rather your mermaid be top half fish or bottom half fish? Bottom half fish, I guess. Snivy102 asks, how do people outside of the Pokemon community usually react when they learn about your VGC accomplishments? They're really amazed by it. It's like I said earlier, you know, the kids in my school think it's cool. All my friends outside of school think it's cool. It's a great way to, you know, break conversation too. I'm perfectly happy with it. So it's something that I'm very happy to have. And basically people in this community are really awesome. I think living in New York City helps a lot too, when everyone's so diverse and everyone does so many different things already. So to them, being like a competitive Pokemon player is actually cool. So I'm happy for that. Next question comes from Andrew Zheng, Nerd and Reed. Out of any battle you had, which was the most enjoyable and why? Probably 2012 US Nationals, top 4, game 3 against Paul Chua. That's actually on my YouTube channel. Basically, I thought the game was over. He got a crit on my Garchomp with Ice Beam through my Yache Berry, and in the end, I didn't know my Scizor damage calculations very well, and I thought I needed a crit to win, and the whole crowd was chanting crit, crit, crit. And when I saw that Conkeldur's HP go to 0 without a crit, I just jumped up and I started cheering, and eventually I won my second national title from that. So like that was a crazy experience. And yeah, that was probably one of the craziest battles I've felt most enjoyable from, just because when you feel like you're about to be eliminated, but then you end up winning and advancing, is crazy, and that's the reason why I ended up winning my second national title. So that was a crazy game. Next question comes from Jay Noivern. What's your favorite non-fully evolved Pokemon? Do you think Eviolite is of any use in VGC? My favorite non-fully evolved Pokemon, probably Scyther. I use Scyther a bit, mainly because back in 2012, Wolfie Glick, one of the best VGC competitors in America and the world, he was letting me test his Worlds team with him, and he used Scyther at some point in that, and I saw that Scyther was actually pretty cool, and it was actually good. He almost used it at Worlds. I think Eviolite is of use in VGC. Last year at Nationals, US Nationals, we saw Inoshachar use Eviolite Mischievous to get second, which is insane. And there are always cool Pokemon with Eviolite like come to use. Sejong Park used Magmar to get top 8 at Worlds last year. Really excited to see what there is in store this year. Next question comes from Jack Sandstrom on Twitter. Why Cybertron? Funny question, actually. I made my Smogon account back in 08 when I actually got banned right away because I was underage, but I made my Smogon account and I just watched Transformers, and so I was like, oh, it's the coolest thing I could think of. So I went with Cybertron, and it's stuck with me ever since. Next question comes from, let's see, Dom is baller. What inspired you to become a YouTuber, and what type did you want to be? For example, funny guy, informative, etc. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. I've always wanted to put myself out there, but I didn't really get the chance to, or the time to, or the resources to until this year. I finally, bought my webcam, bought a 3DS capture card, realized I don't need to play seriously until Worlds this year, so I had some free time for VGC, so I got into it. I've always been on YouTube, watched a lot of videos, whether they be Pokemon or non-related, and to even say that I get to put content that other people watch out there is really, really cool. I try to be informative and funny, but as real as possible. And really, I wouldn't be here without any of your support, so just thank you all so much. But my biggest goal on YouTube is just to offer the best kind of information I can to you guys for VGC, and offer high quality content. I really believe in high quality as well, and hopefully I've been doing that. Next question comes from Wolf Verlis, not Verlisify. Do you prefer this year's VGC format or the 2012-2013 format? It's interesting. I haven't found success such much in this format, but I think this format stresses creativity. And I'm really excited to see where that takes me when it comes to Worlds, because obviously I'm going to spend some time building a team for that one. I'm sure I'm going to end up using some kind of crazy stuff, just because if you want to do Worlds, you generally have something that people don't expect. For each Worlds, there are always one or two kind of things that new strategies that we don't see very often that are introduced. So I'm excited to see what I come up with there. I like this year's format more, honestly, I think, but I'm still kind of frustrated because obviously I did a lot better last year, but we'll see where that goes. The next question, comes from Container Lid on Twitter. Are you aware you do the hair thing? Not that I have a problem with it. I do the hair thing, but yeah, I am aware that I do that. I do it very often, actually. The next question comes from Fur A Prods. This comes from Twitter. Do you think you would have beaten Arash Omadi if you hadn't got hacked to death? Really interesting question. I don't want to say yes, but I don't want to say no either. I think it would have been a really excellent matchup. I'm kind of boring answer. I think we both had really interesting things. I think my Cresselia was actually specifically built to counter Amoonguss, and it had a great matchup against his Conkeldurr. I know he had Tornadus too. I had my own Heatran to beat a bunch of his stuff. I think I would have played it a lot better, to be quite honest, than Ryosuke did, because even though Ryosuke and I had similar teams, Ryosuke made some really silly plays that I really disagreed with, and for considering how similar our teams were, I was sitting there in the audience watching, and I was like, oh, that's frustrating. But no disrespect to Ryosuke. Obviously, I know he actually, at that point, he was just happy enough to be in the World's Finals, and he beat me, so obviously he's an excellent opponent. But I don't know, I think it would have been close between me and Arash, but I'm not sure who would have won. Next question comes from Colin Heyer. Who do you think will win U.S. Nationals? Funny, I think Colin Heyer is actually a top runner to win U.S. Nationals. If I had to put my money on anyone, though, it would be Wolfie Glick, just because he's not in the top 16 for championship points right now, so he needs a good finish to get an invite to Worlds, and Wolfie's won twice, so why not go with him one more time? Next question comes from Randy Qua. What will happen first, Babby winning Senior Worlds, or will you win Masters Worlds? I'm going to say me winning Masters Worlds. I'm going to try to do my best to win one time in the next 2 years so I can retire and be a commentator, since I'd love to commentate VGC events. It's been a dream of mine. But we'll see. Brendan has a great shot at winning, obviously. He's already doing really well in seniors. The next question comes from Eon Blitz 47YT. Where do you see yourself in the future now that you've hit 10,000 subscribers? Great question. I don't know. I just want this channel to grow. I want to see VGC growing. That's the most important thing to me. I want to still be able to interact with all of you. You know, obviously, I'd love to see this channel hit 100K subscribers. Getting that YouTube plaque would be sick. But I'm in it to help you guys, not really for the subscriber number. But you guys are all incredible. I honestly can't appreciate how much I love all your support, and you guys are really the best. So thanks for sticking with me all the way. And to answer the question, I don't know. Future, I just hope to see VGC grow and hope to see the channel continue growing. Next question comes from Nick Score VGC. Why can't you hit Will-O-Wisp? Anyway, the next question comes from Mr. Bobber96. Favorite Pokemon in the current metagame? Probably Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl's been one of my favorite Pokemon since the start, and it's gotten a lot of popularity too, seeing Sejong Park win Korean regionals with it. But I just love the versatility of it. Tailwind's such a good move, and yeah, I really love it. Finally, the last couple of questions. This one comes from Dark Nova, excuse me. How would you go about trying to identify a player's particular style in game? I find reads to be difficult. I mean, normally I like to scout out my opponent right from the start, go with some safe plays like protecting or switching to see whether they're really aggressive or not as aggressive. It's tough identifying a player's playstyle in game right from the start because especially in best of ones, because often while you're trying to identify it, they may pick up a crucial KO. It's more important in best 2 of 3s, but a lot of it is just playing on the defensive end and figuring out what my opponent's doing throughout the course of the game. And the last question comes from ACWOAE on Twitter. Are your parents into Pokemon? I wish they're not, sadly. Pokemon's before their time, I mean after their time, excuse me. And I've tried to get them into it, but they haven't really found the interest. So maybe one day, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it. 21 minutes of me answering your questions. If you guys had a question and I was not able to get into it, I deeply apologize. I will try my best to get into them next time. I do plan on doing another question and Q&A, video very soon. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much once again for 10,000 subscribers. I love you all so much, and I can't wait to see where this channel goes. All right, see you next time. Peace.